Hello everybody, this is me, Joey.T. from the Cartoon.P. Now, this is a voiceover vlog since I've come down with the flu and I want to spare you guys of seeing me look like a sick dog. But at least I have the energy to speak into a microphone, so there's that. So I plan on having a video done by next week since I'm feeling a little sick and I may as well get that video done when I'm feeling a little better. For now, I've wanted to make this vlog for a while. Now, while I didn't make it sooner, because I didn't think it really mattered that much regarding the stuff I talk about on my channel. Does it really relate to what I talk about? But then I thought to myself, there was a video I did where I talked about the angry reviewer style and how that style is not really relevant as much, or it can be relevant, it's just harder to relate to. In this case, I do want to talk about the recent Nostalgia Critic reviews. If you don't know already, the Nostalgia Critic is a character by Doug Walker. He reviews movies in a manic, over-the-top style that I found to be pretty inspiring when I first checked him out, because I kind of liked seeing this guy. He's just got one set, and he's good at editing, and he can focus on the resources he has. It was a very DIY approach to it that I found inspiring, and I felt like if I can incorporate some of that into what I do, it'd be easier for me to make videos, or at least not easier, but it gives me a model to go off of. Lately, I've noticed that he's been focusing more on incorporating sketches, different actors, and heavier editing and effects. Now, I didn't mind this as much at first. Be honest with you, I think it's great to see him grow a little. But I do feel like it is affecting the way he reviews his movies. Now, most YouTubers keep a consistent pace when it comes to a reviewing style. Jeremy Jahns has the same style since he first started like 5 years ago, but he still improves and he is keeping up with the times. Whereas Doug Walker seems a little too ambitious, and what used to be less is more is now throwing everything in the kitchen sink. Now, people say this started after his failed show Demo Reel and then the second revival, but even then, I feel like this goes back to the Moulin Rouge review he did a while where, as you would guess, he reviewed the movie Moulin Rouge, but when it first came out, it was like his first 40-minute review, and I remember thinking, wow, 40 minutes? What could you possibly talk about for 40 minutes? And from what I gathered, it was a fun video to watch, but then I thought to myself, this didn't have to be 40 minutes long. And it did have big comedy sketches and reenacting the movie, which is something I'm going to talk about a little bit later. So even after his latest revival, he still tries to sneak in more comedy sketches and movie reenactments that did get distracting, especially if you just want to focus on a movie review. Now, I didn't mind it as much since, like I mentioned before, since he's still reviewing the movie. But then it started to become more apparent when he did clipless reviews, or is doing clipless reviews of movies. Now, I thought this was a good idea since it works for movies that first come out into theaters, and since you're reviewing a whole movie and you don't have all the clips to the movie, then reenacting would seem more appropriate. And it was made very clear when he made a clipless review of the movie Pixels, which I think is one of his best clipless reviews, whereas I feel like the reenactments were appropriate since he's still providing context to what he's talking about. Now, he did something similar for the movie Mad Max Fury Road. I don't really want to call that video a review since I feel like he focuses more on it being an analysis of Mad Max Fury Road in relationship to the other Mad Max movies. So it was kind of like an old versus new, except it didn't have clips from the movie. I do remember people complaining when it first came out, since complaining on the internet, that's something uncommon, I guess. Oh well. But I did notice that people were complaining because the movie did come out on DVD, so there was no point into doing a clipless review. But at the same time, I do like the effort that was put into it, and it being more of a comparison rather than a straightforward review. But then, everything that I was a little bit more forgiving of seemed to come to a halt when he did a movie review of the movie Hocus Pocus. In fact, I don't really want to call it a review. It is pretty much him going, hey, why don't I just skip the movie analysis and just reenact the movie while painfully pointing out the cliches and passing that off as the review. That's pretty much what you get. I wouldn't have been so upset about it if the video was good, kind of like the Moulin Rouge video, which was good. But it was so lame. You watch it at first and you expect the review to start, but then it keeps going and you realize this is what you're gonna get. Now, it didn't really help that this was a movie I haven't seen in years. So when he's saying something about a movie he hates and doesn't encourage people to watch it, He's saying you kind of have to watch it or experience it in order to get what I'm talking about. Now imagine how frustrating that is for people who haven't seen Hocus Pocus at all. So it's kind of like, so what is the point of this video to begin with if he knows that he doesn't like it? So what's the point of even checking it out? As far as reenacting goes, I feel like the biggest problem is when he's parodying something, he's pointing out the flaws that he's making fun of. Now, if you're a critic and you're reviewing something, that makes sense, since as a critic you kind of have to point out the cliches. But if you're just doing straight up parody, you're kind of pointing out what the joke is. You're kind of pointing out what the punchline is. And let's be honest, do we want to have the punchline spoiled for us? Not really. I guess I wouldn't have been so bent out of shape about all this, but I feel like he was kind of defending his style for the Hocus Pocus video when he did a review of Christmas with the Cranks. When this video came out, he kind of had the scenario of like, what I used to do is in the past. Now what I'm doing, that's the future. And that's what I'm doing because more people seem to like what I'm doing now, which is these clipless videos, pointing out cliches and these reenactments and comedy sketches and all that fun stuff. That seems to be more popular, so I'm going to keep doing that. Now, to be honest with you, I probably would say the same thing too. If I was caught in a scenario where people didn't like a video that I made, I would at least try to defend myself. Be like, hey, I may have made some mistakes, but I am proud of every video that I make, even as many mess-ups I made in the video or things that you perceive as me messing up. But I think it's annoying because I feel like he's abandoning a style that he set up for himself. Whereas, as I mentioned before, Jeremy Jahns and even Double Toasted, which used to be Spill.com, never really changed their format. But they're still growing as artists and adapting with the times. But I feel like, in a sense, Doug Walker and the Nostalgia Critic character is changing what he first intended for it. And that is kind of annoying. Because it makes me think, how am I going to continue making the Cartoon Palooza reviews? Am I going to have to change my style? I probably would not want to change my style since I am happy with the style I make. But I will have to make little changes so for the sake of keeping current and staying with the times. But in the meantime, if this is what he wants to do, which is just focus on making fun of movies for the sake of parody with all these special effects and, effects that do come across as being a little cheap, by all means, you can keep doing that. If you say it's popular and more people will check it out, they can check it out. I'm probably not going to check it out as much. And in some ways, yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that because chances are what I used to love about the Nostalgia Critic, I'm probably going to get from other people on YouTube. Andre the Black Nerd, Double Toasted Reviews, Jeremy Jahns, I Hate Everything Reviews, YourMovieSex.org. All those guys do the same thing that Doug Walker used to do more, but they're still providing, and I feel like I'm going to check those guys more out than I would for Doug Walker. I mean, I'm probably still going to check him out, because I do think he does have good Disney Stenver reviews, and the editorials, I think, are great. Especially one he did on comedy and whether a joke goes too far. But as far as the reviews go, I think if this is what he wants to do, and he's not willing to really change or go back to what he used to do, then I guess there's no point in me keep watching. So comment below, let me know what you think. Feel free to share, like, do all that fun stuff. I apologize for not being on camera, but I'm just hoping to recover from this flu because I feel like crap. Either way, take care, guys.